Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Unquestionably Raw NBA podcast. As you guys know by now, I'm Pete Toll. We've got Matt Miller and we've got DJ Gonzo Star. We've got the trifecta tonight. So we're going to run through the Eastern Conference. We're going to talk about kind of our picks for the non-playoff teams first, and then we're going to count down our playoff teams. Then we're going to go back through and individually talk about each team, a couple points of emphasis for each, and just kind of get you prepped for the season because it's coming up in 10 days. So,
a week from Tuesday.
Yeah, pretty quick. It's earlier every year. So we want to get you prepped and ready to go for the season. But starting it off, we're going to go 15-9. Gonzo, I'm going to go to you first. Give everybody your 15-9 in the East.
I got the Nets at 15, the Magic at 14, the Atlanta Hawks at 13, 12, Cleveland, 11 Knicks, 10 Pistons, and 9 the Hornets.
Nice. What about you, Matt? What you got?
I've got the Atlanta Hawks at 15, the Knicks at 14. I've got the Orlando Magic 13, the Brooklyn Nets 12. I've got my Bulls at 11, right? And here's the thing, though. I almost had them in the top 8, but that Markin injury, I know we'll get to it, man. That really knocks them down a little bit because he's out 2 months. That's really going to hurt them. I got the Cavs at 10 and the Hornets at 9.
Nice. Okay. So I've got Atlanta at 15, Orlando at 14, Chicago at 13, New York at 12, Brooklyn at 11, Cleveland at 10, and then I've got a shocker. I've got Miami out of the playoffs at 9, just barely edged out of the playoffs.
Dang, where's Alana when we need her to come at you for that?
And the only reason I have that is because I'm a little bit worried about this Jimmy Butler proposed deal and how that's going to affect the team, because if it ends up being the rumored move of Josh Richardson moves, which is their best defender in my opinion, that's going to kind of change things as far as long term throughout the season, because if Jimmy's hand is not fully healed, that's going to affect him on the offensive end. Defensively, we know what Jimmy can bring, but it's going to be tough because if you lose Bam and then Hassan goes down, it's going to be curtains for that front court. And then Jimmy can't really pick up the slack all, for everything. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But let's go ahead and do our playoff teams, and then we'll run through each team individually. We'll go back through and talk about each one. But Gonzo, give me your 8 through 1, counting them down for me.
Bulls at 8, 7 Heat, 6 the Wizards, 5 the Bucks, 4 the Pacers, 3 the Sixers, 2 the Raptors, 1 Celtics.
Nice. What about you, Matt? What you got?
I've got the Heat at 8. I got the Pistons at 7, the Pacers at 6, the Bucks at 5, the Wizards at 4, Raptors 3, Celtics 2, and Sixers 1.
Oh wow, nice. Okay.
I think I put it on Twitter a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm. I like the Sixers. I like them at number 1.
Okay. Mine, I have got Charlotte at 8, Detroit at 7, Washington 6. I've got Milwaukee at 5, Indiana at 4, Philly at 3, Toronto at 2, and Boston at 1. So I think Gonzo, our top 5 was pretty similar. I think exactly the same actually. But let's go back through the teams. Let's start with Atlanta. So looking at Atlanta, obviously it's a rebuild.
Yes.
The big kind of excitement around the team is what is Trae Young going to do this season? Want to ask you guys, what are your thoughts on what you think the potential of this team as a whole is, and individually, what do you think Trae Young is going to look like this season? Matt, you go first.
As a whole, for the season outlook for them, I think they just want guys like Collins. You want him to develop, improve. He looked really good last year. Obviously, Trae Young, you want to see what he's going to do in I'll touch on that second question in a second. Also, Torian Prince, another really good young player who's shown some flashes. It's just a rebuild mode for them, so they're going to want to lose as many games as possible, stock up young pick, get draft picks high in the draft. And now as far as Trae Young goes, of course I wanted to watch the game yesterday, but because for whatever reason, me being in Central Illinois, the game is blacked out because it's Memphis. I don't get it.
That didn't make any sense when I watched the hangout.
I
when you
said
that.
They are on tomorrow on NBA TV. I don't know who they play, but I'll be able to get that game. So that's a good thing because I want to see how he looks. I mean, I've seen a couple highlights. His playmaking looks pretty good, actually. I think he's going to be a pretty good playmaker. What scares me the most, though, about him, his three-point shooting is not there, and that's what that's the thing everybody's like really high on him about, his three-point shooting, and it's just not there right now. It wasn't there in Summer League, and I think that's a cause for concern, possibly.
Yeah, they play tomorrow. They play OKC at 3:00 on NBA TV. So, Gonzo, what's your thoughts on Atlanta, kind of, as a team this season, and what do you think individually is going to happen with Trae Young?
I think this season is strictly about just the growth of and development of guys like Trae Young, Collins, Torian Prince, which right now is the core of the lineup pretty much. The question I have with Trae Young is his shot decisions, but I think that would improve over time. I think he's a better passer than what people give him credit for.
Yes.
I'm looking for him in the future. I'm already predicting in the future he'll be an 18 and 10 guy shooting 45%. He'll get there. This year, not so much. I think this year he'll probably get you 10 points, shooting 37%, and getting you 8 or 9 dimes, 8 or 9 assists a game. So right now, I think he can almost get close to double digits in assists, but his decision making and his percentage is probably going to be a little low. But I think he can get you 9 to 10 points. So I'm going to say 10 and 9 this year, 37% for him.
Okay. Yeah, I think obviously, the Hawks need to figure out. They have Lloyd Pierce, who obviously has the development background, so that's a plus for them. But I think they've got to figure out who is going to be that de facto go-to guy. Is it going to be able to be Torian Prince this season, or is it going to be John Collins? Are they going to be able to count on Trae Young for more than the playmaking that we've seen so far in the preseason? Because what I've seen so far is Trae Young's able to get to the basket and get fouled, but he's not able to convert like actual layups or anything like that, getting, strength-wise, getting to the hole. And then the shot selection, as you said, Gonzo, has just been pretty bad to where it's almost like because of his height, he is having trouble getting that shot off because it's not like a quick, lightning fast release because of his height. So people are able to kind of come out and contest quicker.
Yeah. Well, his release isn't bad, but his release point is kind of down here.
Right.
So instead of up here, it's a lower release point. So it's, even though it's quick, it's easy to get to.
Right. And that's the thing that I think he's going to have to find creative ways to kind of like, everybody already compares him to Steph, but Steph had the ability with the ball handling, excelling in that area to, get in spots quicker than, hey, I'm just going to spot up on the 3-point line and get my shot blocked every time. Like he found creative ways to do that. And I think that's where Trae Young is going to have to get better. And I think that, this season, his goal needs to be, can I keep the turnovers down? Can I make fast, quick decisions within the offense? And if I don't have it, tonight, don't keep shooting your way out of a slump necessarily, in the game, kind of getting your confidence low, taking bad shots. Pick your spots and make plays for others. And that's going to gain the confidence, of his teammates to be able to kind of, propel his own game forward because the shot's going to come. Like if you can shoot, your shot's eventually going to fall.
Absolutely.
And I think that, Trae is going to learn that, but the main concern I have, with Trae is just the height and how he's going to be able to adjust because he is super small. Like I didn't realize he was that small. Like, I mean, watching him in college, you're not going against, ginormous, guys necessarily like you do in the NBA and just the quickness and things like that. So it'll be interesting to kind of see what transpires. But
you know what he may need to do though, as you said, he gets to the rim pretty well. Draw
mm-hmm.
fouls, get your confidence at the foul line because he's a really good free throw shooter.
Yeah, exactly. And I really like John Collins too.
Yes.
And with his ability now to be able to shoot the corner three, I think that's really going to take things kind of to the next level for him because he already has the rebounding ability and the athleticism. Mm-hmm. And, so be curious to see kind of what happens there. But just real quick, I want to give a shout out to the gaming effect. We've kind of have a little bet going on Twitter with Trae Young in this season. We have $100 bet. So nice. I said if Trae Young averages under 22 points a game, which I'm 100% sure that's going to happen. I get $100. If he averages over 22 points a game this season, then I owe the gaming effect $100. So we'll see kind of what happens. Man, I just don't think. Yeah, I don't think there's any way in the world that Trae Young is going to be able to average.
I've always said his ceiling is through the roof, right?
Right.
Floor is really, he could be Jimmer Fredette out of the league floor, and that's which I'm surprised at how many people. I'm surprised at how many people are so high on him right out of the gate.
Right.
I know our good buddy Jason Battle. I know he's really high on Trae Young. I don't know.
And I'm not going to knock Trae Young at all because I think he can play. It's just going to be a big adjustment because the speed of the game is totally different. And we saw him struggle in Oklahoma, as well. Like
once the book was out, once they got the book on him, he struggled.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's why I wonder, he came out because, his draft stock wasn't going to get any better. It was going to get worse. Mm-hmm. We saw what happened with, Miles Bridges. Even though it's a different scenario, Miles Bridges came back and his draft stock fell a little bit. If he had been taken last year in the draft, he could have been top 8, top 9. He fell just a little bit, this season. But I felt like that was going to happen with Trae Young, so he felt like he had to come out. But let's move on to let's do New York next. Obviously, the Knicks have David Fizdale as the coach.
Yes.
The tenure in Memphis didn't go very well, kind of
unfairly.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think he learned a lot, kind of dealing with international players and just kind of how you approach that. And so he got on the Porzingis bandwagon pretty quick and really tried to bring a positive relationship with, obviously the star of the franchise. For me, the two questions that I have are, if you don't have Porzingis for most of the season, what are you going to get out of the rest of the team? Guys like Hazonia, Frank Ntilikina, Trey Burke, Kevin Knox, those kind of guys. And the second thing is, how do the veterans handle, the basically open roster spot challenge that Fizdale is throwing out there? Gonzo, I'm going to go to you first on those two questions. What do you think of kind of the new additions like Hazonia, Knox, and the development of Ntilikina? What do you think is going to happen there? And then what do you think about the challenge Fizdale threw out about the open roster spots?
I I like the idea of the open roster spots making guys play a little harder to earn their spots, and the rotation, star lineups, and different things like that. But again, he's still kind of dealt a bad hand. Herzonia has never proven himself in the NBA. I was real high on him when he first came into the league during summer league. I thought he could potentially be a very good pro basketball player. Right now, he does not look like that. He looks like a bust to me. Frank Ntilikina, I was expecting more. I think he's a good defender, but he fouls a lot. Not the best shooter or scorer. I'm still, it's like the jury's still out on him. I don't think he's
young though.
I don't think that he will right now. He hasn't lived up to what I thought he was going to be. They really don't have a lot of great pieces. Porzingis is the best piece. Obviously, you can build around that. You have Trey Burke. You got Enes Kanter, but they just don't have enough. They're probably going to be a lottery team again.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, Matt, I'm going to ask you an additional question to those
Oh, go
two,
ahead.
specifically because I know you're a Kevin Knox guy. So
Yes, yes.
I want to hear your thoughts on Kevin Knox
Uh,
specifically when you talk about the potential guys. But go ahead.
Man, Kevin Knox is going to be Rookie of the Year this year. He's going to lead the Knicks in scoring. I wouldn't be shocked if the guy averages 20 a game this year. Not
Oh,
saying he
wow.
will. Yeah, I think he could. He could more than likely between 17 and 18, but I wouldn't be shocked if he gets 20. I think he's going to be in the best position to win Rookie of the Year. The guy can just play. He just always seems to get better. And you know this, Pete, because we've talked. I was high on him coming out of high school over Michael Porter Jr. I just
Right.
love the way the kid plays, and he just seems to. He's a special. He just seems like he's a special player. I know his percentages weren't high in summer league, but he looked like he was ready to go. He's confident, and I like it. I think his 3-point shot's going to come around. I'm not expecting him to shoot 40% or anything, but I mean, I could see him 35% this year, which will be good for him. And now, as far as the younger guys, some of the ones we want to, because I think the guys this year, obviously Kevin Knox, I think Hazonia is another one we got to watch out for this year because he's still pretty young. He's got athletic ability. He can shoot the ball. He just hasn't put it together yet, and I think this is it for him. He's got to show he can put it together, and if he does, hey, the Knicks got them a good one then. Probably a six-man type guy, maybe a spot starter here and there, but could be a really good guy off the bench. And Frank Ntilikina, I actually really like him. As Gonzo said, great defender. He fouls a lot, but he's young. He'll figure that out. He's not a great shooter, but he's an okay shooter. I think, and he's long. So I think the question with him is he going to be a point guard? Is he a two guard? What's he going to be? But I think those are the three guys for them that they got to watch out for. And as far as the opening, just every spot open, I like it. Competition. We know Kevin Knox is probably going to start.
Right.
Inez Cantor is going to start. Those two spots are probably locked up, right?
Right.
I mean, you would assume Kevin Knox would start, right?
I mean, I have in my projected lineup, I have Kevin Knox at the 3, and then I've got
Cantor at the 5.
Cantor at the 5. I've got Trey Burke starting at the point guard,
Okay.
and that could alternate, with Emmanuel Mudiay because Fizdale actually, I don't think he necessarily officially announced it, but he basically threw every hint that Ntilikina is going to be used as a 2.
Okay.
And he could play some 1, but more of the 2 because he grew to 6'6". Hardaway is going to probably be your 2 guard starting, I would think. And that leaves a power forward spot between Mario Hazonia and Lance Thomas. And because Fizdale likes Lance Thomas, I think he goes that route.
Mm-hmm.
And then specifically with Hazonia, like he hasn't looked great in the preseason at all. And what I don't understand is he had a good run at the, end of last season in Orlando. He knew that, basically, okay, I got one more shot this summer, or otherwise I might flame out of the league and have to go overseas.
Yep, he's going across the ocean.
And I just don't know. Maybe he'll bring it different in the regular season, but I don't know. Guys like Courtney Lee, I could see him kind of being somebody that gets moved.
Yep.
Because I just don't see a real role for him kind of on this team with the injury right now. He's already behind the 8 ball. And then you've got guys like Ron Baker who shouldn't even be in the NBA, in my opinion.
Come on, no Ron Baker love from you.
No, I mean, I just don't think he's a real, NBA player. Like, I think it's, at this point, he's serviceable, but, I'd rather go with younger potential. You can get, I'd rather play Damian Dotson than, Ron Baker.
Agree. I agree.
Moutier is kind of getting on that fringe of, he's losing his chances. One guy that none of us have talked about yet, who I'm intrigued with, is Mitchell Robinson.
Oh, yes.
I don't think he's going to play a ton of minutes out of the gate, but I think by the end of the season, you're going to see him really kind of putting it together. And Fizdale is all about, coaching guys up. So I think that's going to be a plus. But, with the Knicks, I have them a little higher than probably most of the NBA kind of writers and fan base, have them. But that's because I believe so much in Fizdale and what he can bring out of players. But we'll see what happens with the Porzingis injury. If it was me, I would keep him out till the All-Star break just to make sure he was okay.
I'd sit him the whole year. Lose games.
You would?
Yeah.
Gonzo, what you think? Whole year or let him play a little bit?
Is it? Hello?
Porzingis. What do you think?
Porzingis, I keep Porzingis for a whole year. They're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Why risk him again the injury? You allow him a full year to get his body back in shape, get his conditioning together. Yeah, leave him out for the whole year. The Knicks aren't doing anything this year. We can guarantee that.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
Okay.
and you know what? I think the Knicks are going to be really competitive, but I can't jump on board that they're going to be better than we think just because I made that mistake a couple years ago.
Oh yeah, that's all right.
I'm not making that mistake again.
Yeah.
I believed in the Derrick Rose edition.
Yeah, unfortunately now everybody's believing he's something in Minnesota at the 2 guard, and they're going to be sad when he gets hurt again 2 games into the season. But all right, let's talk about Orlando. Obviously the key addition that they had to the team is Mo Bamba.
Yes.
The center spot. The deficiency that they have at point guard is the big question mark for me. DJ Augustin is their point guard at starting, and then they've got Jerian Grant backing him up, and then Isaiah Briscoe, who played at Kentucky, is the third guard behind them. That's a big trouble for me. But wanted to ask you guys, what do you kind of see out of Mo Bamba this season as far as potential? Can he get a starting spot at some point? And then on the wings, what improvement do you see out of Jonathan Isaac and Aaron Gordon specifically? Matt, I'm going to go to you first.
I think you're going to see a lot more confidence out of Jonathan Isaac this year. You know, and I mean, they showed what was that? There was a photo. I guess they were hanging. There was some event they were at. Jonathan Isaac's damn near 7 feet tall.
Yeah, he's 6'11" and a half,
and he's super skilled. The guy. I mean, he's not a great shooter, but he can be a good shooter.
Yep.
I think the potential you love with him and Aaron Gordon. Like we know, like Aaron Gordon's going to be a really good offensive player. He showed a lot of signs last year. I mean, the numbers showed that he was a lot better offensively, shooting the ball better, but defensively. And this is where I'm going to go to Bamba. Bamba must start from day one.
Oh wow! Even over Vooch.
Yeah, with that no defense. Yeah, you put Bamba out there. You go young and you lock up defensively because that front court, you got two basically long 7-footers, and then you got the super athletic Aaron Gordon. Because when you're weak in the backcourt, hey, go with that front court. And Bamba going into the draft, you know it. I thought he had the highest ceiling. I still say he's going to be the best player from this draft. And I don't know how he did. I don't know. I know the first game. I didn't see it, but I saw he was 2 out of 2 from 3.
He did well last game too. I think he had 12 points and hit another 1 or 2 threes.
Yeah.
Again. So.
And you saw the workout he did over the summer. Wasn't he working out with Drew Hanlon?
Yep, he sure was.
And he looked fantastic.
Yeah, he looked really good.
Bamba's going to be nice. I don't know why people are sleeping on the guy. I don't know how he fell that low in the draft.
Well, just because people kind of had Ayton and Jackson a little bit higher on their boards, and then you had Doncic there, so it was kind of hard for him to leapfrog.
Yeah.
Some of those guys. So I wouldn't necessarily look at it as man, so many teams passed on him, because really it was Jackson, and Ayton as far as the 2 bigs for the teams that Memphis and Phoenix, and I wouldn't have taken him number 1 because I think Ayton, and then you got Bagley. Now I'm not sold on Bagley, but we'll talk about the Western Conference next weekend. But we'll have to see. But Gonzo, I want to go to you. What's your thoughts on Mo Bamba, and what do you think kind of the potential? Because this team's not really going to win a ton of games. We know that. So what do you think about the potential of Aaron Gordon and Jonathan Isaac up front?
Uh-oh.
Gonzo. Uh-oh.
Oh, there he goes.
Hello?
Hey, Gonzo.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was asking you with Mo Bamba specifically, what do you think about his potential kind of role this year? And then the second question is Jonathan Isaac and Aaron Gordon are kind of the front court, because the back court outside of Evan Fournier, is kind of lackluster, so to speak. So kind of the potentials there,
Just nice. What Pete's saying is their backcourt is trash.
Nah, they're okay.
He's
Um,
just Pete's being nice.
yeah, but
I'll
so
say it.
yeah, with Isaac and Gordon specifically, what do you see out of them this year?
Well, Isaac, I've always been a fan of his game,
Mhm.
but like I said, I haven't seen enough of him in the NBA to say that I really trust him. Aaron Gordon last year, I mean, I say it was a breakout season. I think he played pretty well last year. I want to know what happened to Vucevic. I mean, like it's almost like he hit like a hard decline. He doesn't seem like the same guy he was before. Is it because now the offense is kind of featuring Gordon? Um, Maybe so. Maybe they just don't have a point guard now. You got three backup point guards pretty much, and they're all fighting for the
You got
starting
one
spot.
backup. You got one backup and two third string point guards.
I mean, so you
Uh,
really don't like I say you really don't have a legit starting point guard. Mo Bamba. I've never been high on Mo Bamba.
Come
I
on,
mean,
man.
I think we base a lot of potential off of height and the fact that a person can run the floor, things of that nature. But I don't know, man. He seems like he might have kind of that Dwight Howard effect while
Ooh.
not while not being like Dwight Howard. Like I think he can run the floor. I think he'll be athletic. I think he could be a decent defender. But is he going to put up 20 and 10 in his career?
He can
No,
shoot. That's
probably
the thing
not.
again.
I don't
He can
think so.
shoot.
I mean, I know he looks good in those pickup games against Joel Embiid, but let's be honest. Joel Embiid is a different monster. Look at his footwork. The guy can shoot jumpers. He can shoot the three. He can post up. He has an array of moves. I mean, he kind of moves like he probably was a former soccer player. I mean, I don't see that with Mo Bamba. I really don't. I mean, I think that's part of the reason why he feels so low in the draft. I think more people are seeing what I'm seeing. So,
okay. Um, well, for me, I'll touch on Gordon and Isaac. With Isaac, that length defensively is going to be a nightmare. His lateral quickness is just going to be really, really good on the perimeter, especially playing. So how it's going to work is on basically on offense, it's going to be Aaron Gordon's going to kind of act as the three, and Isaac's going to act as the four, and it's going to flip flop on defense.
Okay, that makes
So Isaac can potentially guard the perimeter guys, and Gordon can play guard the slower power forward guys. And obviously that can change and they can flip flop around, but I think Gordon is just going to take another level. His shooting is going to be more consistent. We already know his athleticism is there. I look for him to be the leading scorer on the team by far. Fournier a little bit, maybe 2 points behind him.
All-star this year for Aaron Gordon.
It's going to be tough because you got some.
He'll be close.
He'll be there in the discussion, but I think there's too many guys in the East that are still kind of a notch above that I would put in. But with Isaac, I wanted him to stay healthy because he's already injured again in preseason. And he missed most of last season, and he's gonna have to stay healthy, so they can reach that potential. But like you said, Matt, with the height, versatility, if you play Bamba,
absolutely,
it's going to be really, really tough. And then going into Mo Bamba, I'm going to start with my worries of Bamba. The foul trouble is really, really bad right now, and that's going to keep him off the floor for substantial minutes. Being able to rotate on defense is a tough thing for him right now. He's able to get like weak side blocks, here and there, but it's not consistent enough to get the timing down. So once his speed of the game, slows down for him, I think he'll be okay.
Do you think that's just what he's just adjusting to the speed of the game?
Well, he had trouble in college too, so I don't know how if it's going to get any better. If it doesn't, then that's going to be a big kind of X on his, potential.
That now brings him from being an elite defensive big man now to
right.
being a good defensive player.
Right. And offensively, I've noticed that he doesn't really post up that often.
He has no post game.
Right. So where is that going to put him, when you're going against guys like Joel Embiid? Like, you can't just go out to the perimeter every single time. Because although Drew Hanlen's been working with him and that shot's looked a lot better, it's fairly new.
Mhm.
So when you're in a game and it's down to the wire and you're in a pressure situation, is he going to be able to knock down those, jumpers from the perimeter? What do they do if they take him off the line and he has to, use footwork inside? Like, he's going to be lost. So he's going to have to improve there. I think he's going to get about, 17 to 19 minutes a game, but he's going to be behind Vucevic for most of the season. And there's going to be some nights he may not play just because it's Steve Clifford. He's not the greatest with playing rookies as is, but I think they're not going to throw him in a situation where, like, say they're playing the Sixers, he's going to be barbecue chicken against Joel Embiid. Like, Joel Embiid said it himself, like, he would have got him 8,000. If he would have played 5 more minutes, he would have had 8,000 or 6 fouls, just like that. And, guys like that with the elite offensive skill, Bamba can't touch. But if you're playing against second stringers, like, I could see him being able to get a guy, that's like a Willie Hernan Gomez or something like that. Like, something like that kind of like
Miles Plumlee.
Yeah, like guys like that. I think he needs to adjust on those kind of guys first, and then the rest will come. But I like his potential. I mean, I'm higher on Jaren Jackson and DeAndre Ayton than I am on Bamba, but I don't think Bama's going to necessarily be an all-star in his career, but I think he can be a serviceable, more than serviceable big. But
like a DeAndre Jordan.
Not necessarily. I don't think, because I don't think he's strong enough for the rebound.
I think he's better offensively, though.
Well, yeah. I mean, Dwight Howard's better offensively than DeAndre Jordan. So, all right, let's jump to let's do Brooklyn. So obviously Brooklyn caught between wanting to get better and still rebuilding. They have D'Angelo Russell and Spencer Dinwiddie at the point guard spot. That's kind of a question mark of who kind of they keep long term. Russell will be a free agent, Spencer Dinwiddie as well. So it's kind of like a toss up of, who's going to be better. I'm going to ask you guys, Gonzo, I'm going to go to you first. Who is the breakout player on this team this season? And out of D'Angelo Russell, Spencer Dinwiddie, Karis LeVert, Jared Allen, which one of those guys would you say is the cornerstone to what you want to build for the future?
Wow. Cornerstone for them build for the future. I probably would say Jared Allen. I think he has a lot of potential. I liked him at Texas. I liked his game. I think he could be like an 18 and 10 guy. It's just a matter of getting the right pieces around him. D'Angelo Russell, at this point, I mean, I had high hopes for D'Angelo Russell. I don't think that I think he's a good player, not a great player. Spencer Dinwiddie has shown much improvement. Right now, honestly, if I want anybody to kind of be the star of the team, I probably would trust him because he's shown the most improvement, and you see it in his game. Karis LeVert, he could be better, but I think he doesn't get enough time. I don't think he gets enough minutes on the floor. So maybe that's the reason why I'm probably saying it about him. But right now, man, I'm going Spencer Dinwiddie and probably Jared Allen, probably.
Okay. What about you, Matt?
But
go ahead, Gonzo.
Oh, I was gonna say, but it's pretty much the same on Nets, different year. There's no playoffs for them right now. So.
Well, they actually get their pick this time, so it would be in their best benefit to not be very good this year.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna say this as far as the D'Angelo Russell. I think D'Angelo Russell is going to be the breakout player on this team. I think you're looking at 21, 22 a game this year, 5-6 assists. I don't know, and I've never been high on the guy.
Right.
Hell, when he came out, the first thing I said, struggles to get to his spots. But I saw some games last year where I was like, man, he's really improved. He's a lot better than what I saw when he came in. I think he's the guy this year. So to answer your other question, is the go-to? I think D'Angelo Russell's the guy
across the board. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's him. I do. And call me, I could be totally wrong, but I don't know. He just strikes me as the guy who's really going to break out this year.
For me, the breakout is going to be Karis LeVert. I think they figure out they're going to end up moving Damari Carroll at some point. Karis LeVert's just too good not to have on the floor. Just the ability to score. He's looked great so far, in preseason, just like ultra aggressive. And he's given every opportunity so far to get minutes so far in the preseason. So I think that may carry over to the season. If he doesn't start at the 2, they can always put him at the 3. And then if Rondae Hollis-Jefferson's not ready, they can move Carroll up to the 4 for the time being until Rondae's ready. Because if anybody is not aware, Rondae got hurt kind of in a workout. I think it was in China where he got hurt, and he hasn't been able to practice since, or a limited practice earlier this week, not a full practice. So interesting to see if he's able to come back before the season starts. But for me, I don't like D'Angelo Russell's game as a so-called, de facto point guard. I think he would excel more off the ball necessarily, because I think he's still too slow to get to his spots and beat defenders off the dribble. So then he's counting on, a lot of outside perimeter shots. And I want to see him be able to mix it up. But as far as a passer, I think he excels there. It's just I'm not sold as far as going against elite point guards, night in, night out, that he's going to be able to hold his own. I think he'd be better served as a 2, and then he can get to that scoring potential that you're talking about, Matt. Dinwiddie's more of a heady point guard that can get you buckets, but he runs the team first, second, and then looks to score third and knows when to kind of, pick his spots to score to kind of propel the team back in games. And Jared Allen, I think his potential ceiling is very high. He's just going to have to work on being able to knock down mid-range shots, because that's always the knock on DeAndre and Dwight. They can't shoot. So, if you want to be different and grab rebounds, defend, you're going to have to get a skill now where you can shoot at least a little bit from mid-range to keep defenses honest. So it'll be interesting. One note for them, Rodion Kurix, who they drafted in the second round, has looked fantastic in the 2 games that he's played in the preseason. And Kenny Atkinson is talking about a potential rotation spot for him. So it'll be interesting to see with him. Very high draft stock a couple years ago, got hurt last year, didn't play very much, still got drafted in the second round, but oozing with potential as a shooter and an athletic kind of scorer as well. So, if he can make the rotation, you may see Damari Carroll out of Brooklyn, quicker than not. But all right, let's move on to the next team. Let's go with Chicago Bulls. Lot to talk about there. You got Levine with the big contract, Jabari Parker, kind of coming on the, necessarily over from Milwaukee, and the Markkanen injury. That's going to be tough. What do you think, Matt? I'm going to go to you first this time. With the Levine and Parker situation, what do you see out of both of them this season? Second question is, with Markkanen, how bad does that hurt this team starting out of the gate? And what's your thoughts on Wendell Carter Jr.?
As far as Levine and Parker, I don't know what to say about Parker, because the two knee injuries, the ACL. So we'll see how that. I can't really predict what he's going to do, but I don't mind the contract, because they can just get rid of him at the end of the year. So to me, it's like a low risk, high reward type of deal. Because if you can get 80% of what he was a couple years ago, hey, good job. With Levine, I mean, he's a good player. I don't like the contract at all. I would have let him walk. I see him as like another Jamal Crawford type of player, and I'm not giving that guy a max contract. It just doesn't make any sense. The Markkanen injury, huge, because I would have had the Bulls in the top. I would have had them 8th in the East, had Markkanen, but 2 months, I just don't know how they're going to come out of the gate this year. I think it's really going to hurt. It's going to be good for a guy like, then we'll jump in, Wendell Carter Jr. He's going to get, I think that gives him a little bit more opportunity, because I would guess to start, he probably would have came off the bench for Lopez. That would have been my guess. I could be totally wrong on that. But I mean, we see his potential defensively. You saw it against the Bucks. And what I really like about him is he's very good offensively. decent in the post, but he can knock down some threes for you, which we know when you're in today's league, your big man's got to be able to hit that three. He can do that. No, is he gonna shoot 45%? No, but he's gonna be able to make threes out there, which I think is I see like an Al Horford type with this guy. You know what I mean? That's kind of what I see with him, and that's not a bad thing.
No, that's not bad at all.
That's
No,
a really good thing. I think he's going to be the glue to this team. Ultimately, I think Carter will probably in a few years he'll be the leader of the team. You know what I mean? But that marketing injury is huge because he showed so many. You saw in the Euro, he's dunking on fools. He's working out. That injury sucks. It sucks. Right. It does.
Gonzo, what's your thoughts on Levine, Parker, Carter Jr.'s potential this year, and then what the marketing injury might do to the Bulls early in the season?
First, we're going to go to the marketing injury. Okay, he's out for 6 to 8 weeks. Mm-hmm. So that means he could possibly be back at the latest, like a week before Christmas, at the earliest, a little bit after Thanksgiving. So right now, I'm not really worried about that. We have to look at the roster at hand. We got Chris Dunn. We got Wendell Carter Jr., who's probably going to get more minutes now that Markin is out. Yes. They're going to find ways to put him in the rotation more. You got Jabari. You still have Zach LaVine. Like I said, I think I mentioned Chris Dunn. You have I think you have Holiday off the bench. Yeah. You got enough guys who can potentially right now.
Hey, and you got Bobby.
still be somewhat decent in the Eastern Conference. Look, that Bulls team without marketing right now could beat the Nets. They could beat the Magic. They can beat Cleveland. They can beat the Knicks. They could possibly beat the Pistons. They could possibly beat the Hornets. They can possibly beat the other day we looked at that Bucks team. Let's be honest. I like what Budenholzer has done, but I don't see that many shooters on that team to keep that offense, to think that offense is going to look like the Spurs or the old Atlanta Hawks when they had Corver Teague, Joe Johnson, and all of them on that team. I don't think you're going to see that. So the Bulls right now could still make that AC. Like I said, marking it at the latest a week before Christmas. They have a chance to still solidify at least the 8th or the 7th seed in the East. They can do it. And this is my biggest thing. I want the Bulls to lose because I want them to get somewhere between those first 3 picks in the draft because, honestly, I want Zion Williamson on the Bulls for myself.
Wow.
That's what I would like. But
he doesn't seem like a guy you would like.
But the way the league is, and the way I know how the Bulls are when I expect them to lose, they always seem to disappoint me.
And they win.
Yeah, they win. So I'm anticipating to be an AFC. I see right now, like I said again, looking at their roster, looking at a lot of these other rosters, and just looking at just the talent, and looking at the fact that they have a point guard who can play defense. You got marketing coming back, possibly, like I said, back at the latest before Christmas. It's still enough time to get him in the rotation and do what he does. The Bulls will be fine. They're probably going to make the playoffs and totally disappoint us.
Hey, I'll be happy if they make the playoffs. I want them to. I like this roster.
Yeah, for me, the marketing injury is huge because of the outside shooting and just his overall growth and where he fits, as a leader on the team. Because now it's going to be the
best player on the team. He's the best player on the team.
Yeah, and then now it's going to be LaVine. I'm just afraid. I like Zach LaVine, but I'm afraid that he's going to go to that Minnesota kind of offense where he jacks up some bad shots.
Yeah, Jamal Crawford, right?
Yeah, and you're not going to get a lot of scoring out of Chris Dunn. He's there defensively. Holiday is going to probably start at the small forward. That moves Jabari Parker up to the power forward. Now, Jabari has looked very aggressive in the Milwaukee game, obviously, but he's looking to shoot threes now. He's looking, actually to try to grab some rebounds and run the floor.
Try to grab so what you're saying is the effort is there.
The effort's there. I'm still not looking great defensively, but, overall, I think Jabari's, really going to bring it this year. Wendell Carter Jr., I think very highly of him, especially defensive impact. We didn't get to see everything at Duke because Bagley was kind of in the way. Bagley was a late addition to that Duke class. If everybody doesn't remember, he reclassified.
Yeah.
And that threw everything off, really pissed off Carter Jr.'s family because they were promised a certain kind of role, and then Bagley
wasn't Carter.
reclassifies.
He was supposed to be the man there, wasn't
Yeah,
he?
he was supposed to be the de facto go-to guy, and he got pushed aside for Bagley. And in my opinion, and it's no shade on Bagley. Bagley could turn out to be, a 20-10 guy, but I just think overall impact, I think you're going to see Carter Jr. have the more ready NBA impact, and the longer potential than Bagley, because Bagley's still trying to figure out. Sacramento is trying to play him at the small forward. They played him at the small forward the other night, and I about fell out of my chair. I was
I got something for you. I was playing 2K the other day. They put it all, and it was what's it? I was playing against a dude. It was someone who was using. I was using the Hawks. He had the Kings. He let the bench sub his team in, and I was blowing dude out. They put the all big man lineup in, and Bagley was the point. Bagley was the point guard.
Oh damn, that's terrible.
Yes,
that sub logic's got to be fixed.
Bagley was the point
that's
guard.
That's a whole nother show.
It was only the last 30 seconds.
It doesn't matter. That doesn't make any sense.
Because I was like, wait a second. I got Trae Young. Why is he guarding Bagley? Then I looked at I'm like, oh God, Bagley's the point guard.
Man,
he's got nothing but 7-footers out there.
I like the potential of the Bulls as far as being able to climb up the board, but then in the back of my mind, I keep thinking they actually have a chance to get a good pick this year. I think they're going to try to either go get a guy like RJ Barrett or Zion Williamson. And so their potential to lose games is there. But you never know what's going to happen.
They're talented. That's what's so crazy. They've got a really good roster. I mean, we didn't even mention Bobby Portis. He can play.
Yeah, he's going to fill up a lot of buckets off the bench. Let me ask you guys this just real quick before we close out Chicago. Is this the last leg for Denzel Valentine?
I actually liked what he did for him last year. I think he can play. I don't think so. I think he can do some things for them because he's pretty versatile.
What do you think, Gonzo?
Denzel Valentine.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I think he's a bum, and the fact that the way he got killed in summer league, he does not deserve to be an NBA player.
Oh wow!
Wow, damn. All right. With that said, moving on to let's do just to kind of quicken the show up so we're not here all night. Let's do a combo of Cleveland, Detroit. We'll do those two together, and we'll that way we can kind of catch up a little quicker. Yeah. So Cleveland, now the obvious go-to guy now that LeBron's not there is going to be Kevin Love.
You mean J.R. Smith?
Yeah, right. Oh yeah, for those who don't know, J.R. Smith squared up with Marcus Smart tonight, and that if Jason Tatum wouldn't have yanked Smart back, that would not have ended well for J.R. So anyway,
and Sam Decker dropped Jason Tatum to the floor.
I saw that. I think he slipped on a wet spot because there's no way Sam Decker dropped somebody.
He dropped him. There was no wet spot. He dropped him.
Damn. All right, so looking at obviously their potential of Colin Sexton, I'm going to go to you first, Gonzo. What do you think we're going to see out of Sexton this year? And then, as far as we know, Kevin Love is going to be the go-to guy. Who comes in behind Kevin Love as that second scorer?
I think the person coming in after Kevin Love will probably be Colin Sexton. I think they drafted him for that purpose. I agree. They kind of saw him as kind of being like another Kyrie, not to say he's gonna be as offensively skilled as Kyrie, but the guy can score. Like I don't know if anybody saw the game last year where they played against some team in college, and
it was like 5-on-4.
The team had fouled out, and it was like 5 against 4, and he almost brought them back and won. They lost like by 4 to 6 points.
Yep.
And they only had 4 people on the floor, all because of him. So, I mean, obviously, Colin Sexton is probably going to be the second option on that team. The guy, he's not a terrible defender. He's actually kind of good defensively. But again, they don't have LeBron, and I think they show how bad they were during the playoffs last year because LeBron carried those same players all of last year. But I don't want to penalize them either because I want to be fair. I think the reason why they look so bad is because the type of system that they had to play with LeBron. It's kind of everybody has to get out of the way, and LeBron has to control the point guard position, and everybody has to kind of move out of his way to leave the lane open for him. And if the lane is not open, they have to be able to stand on the perimeter and catch and shoot. Uh, if LeBron can't create something going to the basket.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's one of the reasons why they didn't look so good is because if you're not able to play the way you usually play, it kind of takes you out of a rhythm. Like, let's look at Kevin Love when he was on Minnesota. And I don't want to be too long on it, but let's look at Kevin Love on Minnesota. Kevin Love was a post-up guy. He could shoot the three, but he did post up a lot. He was able to throw full court passes. He was pretty much involved offensively on every aspect on Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
He comes to Cleveland. Now he's kind of just positioned to be a spot-up shooter.
Yep.
J.R. Smith, when he was with the Knicks, when he was like this man, J.R. Smith was able to he was able to shoot threes, but also J.R. Smith was going to the rack and able to dunk and take people off the dribble. Playing with LeBron, he's not able to do that. You have to stand in the corner, stand on the perimeter, wait for a three-point shot. The only person who really didn't look out of place playing with LeBron was probably Kyle Korver, who's already a catch-and-shoot guy on the perimeter anyway.
Right.
So it came natural for him. So my question has always been, even though I think LeBron's a very great player, my question has always been is LeBron really making his players better? I still disagree with that. I don't think he makes his players better. I think that players have to dictate, they have to cater their games for his style of play. And I think it makes his teams look a lot better than they should. But I don't think he deserved all that credit for saying that these guys are bums. No, they're not bums. They're just playing out of rhythm. They're playing positions that they're not accustomed to. So I don't want to badmouth Cleveland too bad and say that, that they're just a bad team. I don't want to say that. They got good players. J.R. Smith is a decent player. Makes mental mistakes at times, but a good player. Kyle Korver is a good player. I think Colin Sexton is going to be a good player. Tristan Thompson is a good player for what he does. He can get you 10 rebounds. He can get you 8 or 9 points. That's not bad. It's okay. That's pretty good. Kevin Love can get you 19 and 10, 20 and 10. That's good. It's just, are they going to be able to gel? And can Colin Sexton be an 18-point game scorer, 7 assists? And can they actually get everybody involved in the offense? Because honestly, with the roster that they have, if Colin Sexton turns out to be the point guard that he should be, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Cleveland somewhere in the 8th to 7th seed.
Yep.
Interesting.
I totally agree with Gonzo on that, actually. Because I actually think Colin Sexton, like I got Kevin Knox as Rookie of the Year. Colin Sexton would probably be 2 on my list because I think he's just going to get an opportunity. And the young man plays with such heart. We saw it in the game where they had 4 guys. I mean, he almost brings them back. They almost win the game. But I think you may see Minnesota Kevin Love numbers this year.
Yeah, I could
points, 14. I think you might see it. He's going to get a ton of post-up opportunities too.
I could absolutely see that because now they've talked about kind of rotating Tristan Thompson and Larry Nance at the center spot exclusively. So, that's going to give Kevin Love the ability to, stretch the floor and have post-up opportunities on the other side of the block. So I think it'll be interesting. A guy that I'm interested to see what happens. They only gave a 1-year deal to Rodney Hood because he was abysmal last year in his time in Cleveland. He had injuries before that in Utah. I'm curious to see if he steps up. He's going to be the shooting guard. I believe George Hill is going to start at point guard right out of the gate until Sexton overtakes him probably about, I would say, 20 games in or so because I think George Hill is just going to fall flat.
2 games in.
2 games in, okay. Small forward is going to be Jetty Osman.
I like him.
Yeah, he's good. I think he's going to be the breakout player for them. Don't sleep on David Nwaba either, who played for Chicago last year. I think he's going to have a good rotation spot. You're going to see spot minutes of Kyle Korver off the bench. I think Korver could be somebody that's a late season wave and or buyout, whatever,
and signed by Golden State.
Yeah, like a contender or something. And then power forward, obviously Kevin Love, and like I said, they're going to alternate Nance and Tristan. But with Sexton, I'm high on him as well. I think the versatility on both ends of the floor is there. I just think that the speed of the game, obviously for the point guard position, is what's going to have to slow down for him. But I think he's going to be right there in the Rookie of the Year discussion. I think he makes the All Rookie first team personally.
Yes.
Like you said, Gonzo, they could be very close to a playoff team, or it could go the other way and it just not work all the way around. And they could be at the bottom. I don't like Ty Lue as a coach, so I don't have that much faith in him.
Hey, he may prove us wrong this year and say, "Hey, man, I actually can coach."
I don't buy it. And then I wonder where the rotation spot's going to come for JR. I don't think there is going to be one. I think there's going to be nights where he doesn't even see the floor.
Hey, they can trade him, but he said, "I ain't going to no damn Minnesota." So.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. But let's move to let's look at Charlotte. So obviously, new coach in James Borrego. He wants to install the Spurs type motion offense. Tony Parker comes over from the Spurs to kind of help that. You've got Nick Batum, who's got good chemistry with Tony Parker for France. Mm-hmm. But looking at the kind of the team as a whole, you've got to get something out of Malik Monk this year, especially at the 2-guard spot. Jeremy Lamb's in a free agent year, or contract year, so he's going to have to really kind of step it up again. I like what I've seen out of Miles Bridges at the small forward spot, power forward spot as well. He's kind of played both. What do you think, Gonzo? I'm going to go to you first. What do you think we see out of some of the younger guys in Malik Monk, Miles Bridges, Billy Hernangomez? What did they get anything out of these guys enough to be competitive? And then the second question I have for you: what do you think they do with Kemba Walker? Do they eventually trade him, or is he a long-term Charlotte Hornet?
I think Kemba is eventually going to be a trade piece. With that being said, I still think they have some pretty good talent. I think Batum is good. Question with Batum is he going to be healthy?
Yep.
That's my main concern with him. Can Tony Parker come in and be a good mentor to a lot of the young guys? Bridges, I think Bridges is strong. Honestly, I like his style of play. He's a little physical. He can shoot a little bit. He can go to the basket. I like Bridges. I think he could be like a 15. He kind of reminds me kind of like of a David West almost. It's weird. Like he's not as good a shooter as David West, but I think he's strong and he's physical. He can get to, like I said, he can get to the basket. I like Miles Bridges. Malik Monk, I don't know. Still, there's a lot still left to be seen from him. Can he be as good as he was in Kentucky? I have no idea. These are really hard guesses for me because I haven't seen a lot of the
Monk can't stay healthy.
A lot of I guess that's the reason why I really haven't seen a lot of them, right, doing what they did in college in the NBA because, like I say, he can't stay healthy. Like I said, Batum is hurt. It's just a lot going on with Charlotte. I know Kemba is probably not going to be there after this year. He could possibly be traded at the trade deadline. Who knows? New coach. It's just a lot going on, with the Hornets. Enough to say make the playoffs? No way. Just got a lot of young guys. Hopefully that they can develop in the future, get pieces to go along with them, and then they can, build the program up. But right now, they're not a winner.
Matt, what you got, man?
Of all the young guys, man, if he can stay healthy, I really do like Malik Monk now. I like his confidence. I really think if he can stay healthy and become the guy they drafted to be, then, obviously he's not going to be that great player this year. But if he can really step up to be a guy who's going to get you 15 this year, shoot it at close to 40% from three, they could be really competitive and compete for that 8 spot. Obviously, Batum has to stay healthy. I like Aaron Gomez, great defender. No. He can make an open three. He's gonna, he showed some signs. Me and you both liked him when he was.
He can rebound.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Gonna help them.
And we really liked him with the Knicks, right? So And we were wondering why he wasn't playing when he was there.
Defensive lapses.
Yeah, not very good defensively. That's his biggest issue. But I think ultimately, if they're out of it, I think Kemba Walker is a prime candidate at the trade deadline. Yeah. But the question is, what do they want for him? You know how some of these teams overvalue their players.
Right.
Like,
Well, I think they're going to want a young guy back in return, like a young point guard back in return, another draft pick maybe.
So Philadelphia, would they Fultz?
Nah,
I wouldn't do it if I'm Philly, but the Hornets would take that, right?
Oh, maybe.
I wouldn't do it if I'm Philadelphia, though. It makes no sense to pair him with Ben Simmons.
Right. I mean, I'd look across the league. I mean, I'd have to really look at it.
Phoenix.
Yeah, but Phoenix, he's too ball dominant with Devin Booker in the backcourt to fit there. I mean, Orlando might be one, but Orlando doesn't have a lot to give back. So,
and I'm not trading Gordon, Bamba, or Isaac.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So it's tough to look across the league, but I think with Kemba, I think I'm actually trending up with Charlotte because I really like James Borrego as a coach.
Yeah.
I think
he was assistant with Stan, right?
Well, he filled in Orlando as an interim for like 13 games.
Right.
And then he was with Pop in San Antonio.
Yeah. Was he one of Stan's assistants originally? And then when Stan got fired, he filled in. I could be totally wrong on that. Or was it? When did he fill in? I thought he was there with Stan. I could be wrong.
Was it 3 years ago he filled in, or 4 years ago, something like that. I'm not sure off the top of my head.
Yeah.
They've had
so many damn coaches in Orlando. Who knows?
It was Vogel. I thought he filled in for Vogel when Vogel got maybe not. Maybe I'm just all the way confused with it.
It's crazy.
Yeah, they cycle coaches pretty often. But I like that, Miles Bridges has looked great in the preseason, just athletic freak. He's actually shown the ability to knock down the three, which is really going to go well for him moving forward.
And he's a lefty.
Yeah, and they've talked about what they're going to do. They're going to move Kid Gilchrist up a spot to the 4, coming off the bench, so that way it opens up a rotation spot for Bridges to play at the 3 as a backup. Marvin Williams would still start at the 4. Cody Zeller at the 5, Jeremy Lamb projected at shooting guard with Monk coming in as the backup, and then of course Kemba and Tony Parker at the point guard spot. That kind of leaves the backup center spot between Hernan Gomez and Frank Kaminsky. Kaminsky's really struggled. This is kind of his last, hurrah in Charlotte. I think if he struggles to shoot the ball and get positioned defensively, then you're going to see Hernan Gomez on the floor, and they could trade Kaminsky. I like the ability that they have switching, versatility through positions enough. I like them better than Detroit because I worry about the injuries to Reggie Jackson being a big question mark. Is Luke Kennard going to be able to step up into a starting role over Reggie Bullock? What are you going to get out of Stanley Johnson? Are you going to get a healthy Glenn Robinson? We know what they have in Blake and Andre Drummond, but what else is on that team? And that's going to transition us to.
Real quick, I got your answer.
What's that?
Replaced Jacques Vaughn.
Oh wow, that's way back. That's like 3 coaches ago. Wow.
It was 2015.
Oh wow, damn. So between 2015 and 2018, they've had Jacques Vaughn, Frank Vogel, Steve Clifford.
Wow. That's what I said. They've had, and if you count 2011, Stan, they've had like 4 coaches in 7 years.
That's insane.
Wow. That's why they continue to be at the bottom of the Eastern Conference.
That's crazy.
That's damn near as bad as Sacramento.
Yeah. Well, speaking of coaches, Detroit, they've now got Dwayne Casey. We know what happened in Toronto. I'm going to ask 3 questions on Detroit because one is about Dwayne Casey. Matt, I'm going to go to you first. Yes. All right. With Dwayne Casey, is he overrated as a coach? That's question number 1. Question number 2, what I had just mentioned about like Luke Kennard, Reggie Bullock at the 2 spot competing, Stanley Johnson, Glenn Robinson at the 3 competing. And then a possibly not healthy Reggie Jackson. What does that do for this team? And then the final question, we only got a glimpse of Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond together last season. What do you think happens this season with those 2?
I'm going to start off with Reggie Jackson.
Okay.
If he's injured, they have no chance to make the playoffs. We saw it last year. He went out, they were toast.
Right.
he's healthy, they're probably in the playoffs, I believe.
Okay.
So I think that answers that. With the little battles, Kennard, Bullock, Stanley Johnson, and little big dog. I like Stanley Johnson. I don't know why. I really think he's going to be a good player. I just think it's a confidence thing with him because he can really. I mean, coming out, what they were comparing this guy to Ron Artest. Metal World Peace. Now Ron Artest again, and I like Stanley Johnson. I actually think he's going to be a good player. I think he's going to break out this year. Luke Kennard, we know he can really shoot the ball. He shot it well as a rookie, just didn't take a lot of shots because he barely played.
Right.
And Reggie Bullock, we know he can shoot it. That'll be an interesting. I'd go with Reggie Bullock to start. He's more experienced, so go with him. I like Stanley Johnson as the starter at the 3. And with Blake Griffin and Drummond, I actually think it can work because Blake Griffin can now step out to the 3-point line and he can spread the floor. Good playmaker. Yes, he makes those dumbass decisions from we saw with the Clippers.
Oh yeah.
They're up 1. He comes down throwing a behind the neck pass and it's out of bounds or something. So we know but he is a really good playmaker at that position. Can really handle the ball. Can shoot. And it's funny with him. He comes into the league. He does all these things. You're like, God, if only Blake Griffin could make a jump shot. Now he can make a jump shot. He never really learned to post game.
Yeah, I was gonna say he still can't post up.
He can't post up, but everybody said if he could only make a jump shot, I think he gets a lot of unfair criticism. I think the guy can really play. And I think it can work with him and Drummond. And we saw what Byron said last year with Lowry. He's high on Drummond. So if Byron says he's high on, I'm high on Drummond.
Drummond shot a couple threes in preseason, so we'll see what.
And good thing with Drummond, you saw what he did with his free throws last year. He upped to 67, 68%. So you know he's working. He's not just a lazy bum.
Right, exactly. All right, Gonzo, what's your thoughts on Detroit?
First, Reggie Jackson helps their chances of making the playoffs. Andre Drummond, he's going to be a typical Andre Drummond. He might get you 13, anywhere between 13 and 15, 12 or 13 rebounds a game. I want to see how his free throw shooting improves. Will he be a skilled big man? Yeah, those 3 shots in preseason, I'm not trusting it. He's not a back to the basket player. He'll just get a lot of putbacks, maybe from score a lot of putbacks. Blake Griffin. I'm actually tired of talking about Blake Griffin. I'm tired of giving him all this credit. Let's be honest. The dude shot like 43% last year, if I'm not mistaken. That's not good for a guy 6'10", 250. Who can get to the basket. I think he shot way too many threes, first of all. You're not a 3-point shooter. Please stop shooting threes. I want to see you shooting in the higher 40s or 50s. I want you anywhere between 47 and up. Hey, that's a must. Gonzo, you cannot shoot 43%.
You want second and third year Blake Griffin.
Yeah, there's no reason you shoot 43% now. Certain things you get better with that time, I believe. I understand your physical ability might decline, but such as your post moves, you develop signature fadeaway shots or pull-up jump shots. Those things, especially with the good and the great players, they tend to improve over time. Let's look at Jason Kidd. Wasn't a great 3-point shooter.
Right.
Improved and became a great 3-point shooter. LeBron James became a better field goal percentage shooter later in his career. Kevin Durant became a better shooter. Steph and Clay are becoming better shooters. Like James Harden is becoming better. Like everybody's improving. All the great players are improving. Anthony Davis is improving. You see it on his effort on defense. You see in his shooting percentage. You see these things. Like Kevin Durant, even getting older, he's gotten better on defense. Like these guys are getting better and better. They're getting more polished in time. They might be losing a little bit of athleticism, but the skills are becoming on. The skills are becoming on and perfected. I don't see that with Blake Griffin. I still see the same guy who shoots a lot of ill-advised jump shots. I hate the way he shoots. He shoots when he's like coming back down, touching the ground. He's shooting. It's like late. Yeah. I don't like that. That looks kind of bad. It's not textbook.
It's definitely not textbook. It works for him though.
Yeah, but last year didn't work because he shot 43%. And his shooting percentage got worse. So I don't want to. The Pistons right now, Dwayne Casey. But he's also a very fraudulent coach. He'll coach you to a first or second seed or third seed, and guess what? You'll be getting eliminated the first round. So at this point, Dwayne Casey taking somebody to the playoffs, is it worth it? Because you're going to be going home after the first round anyway. So you might as well not even made it at all
Oh
and just stack
man.
them on
Damn.
draft picks.
Hey,
Um,
you're right though. Based on if they hit that 7th AC, they're going out in the first round. I mean, they don't have
because they're
enough.
not beating Philly.
Right.
They're not beating Philly. They're not beating the
I
Celtics.
would
They're
love
not
I
beating
mean
the Raptors. And
Toronto.
trust me, they probably won't beat the Pacers either.
I would love a Detroit Toronto matchup.
Toronto would
Wow,
smoke
that's a
them
sweep.
I would love to see it though.
because of Dwayne Casey.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it go. I think that would. I'm not going to say anything because I don't know how they're going to like. I think potentially that could be a 6-game series.
No way.
No way. You know what? Dwayne Casey will get fired right after that series is over.
Hey,
I'm not high on Dwayne Casey. I think he's overrated as a coach. I think he's better as an assistant coach, just from a game management standpoint. I don't think he makes enough timely adjustments as he should. Based on Toronto having the record they had last season, people are kind of overhyping Dwayne Casey as a coach.
They did revert back to the old Raptors against the Cavs, though. But you could say that's because Dwayne Casey
didn't make any adjustments.
Well, he didn't have control of that team. He let DeRozan go ISO ball DeRozan again.
I mean,
ironically, it wasn't Kyle Lowry's fault last year.
Well, yeah, but
it wasn't his fault.
That's for him to come in and make adjustments.
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't.
Yeah, he didn't get on.
The only good thing you got out of Dwayne Casey is he actually played Van Vliet and gave him minutes. So for
Fred should be the starter.
I wouldn't go that far. I think he's a good 6-man.
I like Fred.
I think that with Blake, I want to see him, like you said, Gonzo, improve that field goal percentage. His decision making has to be better, which is the number one point for me. Drummond, I think he is what he is. He's going to get your rebounds, putbacks. Defensively, he's going to have to get better.
So, Pete, you're not with Byron then on Drummond.
I'm not. I don't have him I have him a top 50 player, but I'm not going to say he's like this de facto star or anything.
Byron damn near had him in the top 20.
Yeah, I can't go that far. With the point guard spot, if Reggie Jackson is not healthy, which I don't think he's going to be this season, so you're going to see him sit a good bit. Ish Smith is not that great. Jose Calderon's old. Langston Galloway shouldn't even be playing the point guard spot, but they'll try to place him there a little bit. Then you've got who's it? Bruce Brown is the rookie they've been playing in the preseason, kind of at point guard a little bit. It's not inspiring. Luke Kennard has got to be more aggressive shooting the ball because I think at times he tries to go back to the Duke days where he was a facilitator as well as a scorer, and I think that he needs to look to really be aggressive and shoot at all costs. Fantastic shooter, and it'll help them. Reggie Bullock is what he is now. He's able to knock down threes, defend a little bit on the perimeter. Stanley Johnson's better on the defensive end to me. Obviously inconsistent on offense.
What about Henry Ellenson?
He's garbage. He did not do well in the preseason last year. Limited right now in the preseason this year. Summer League, he looked awful. I think time is up for him. This is his last year.
And what's funny? Because you and Pete, you and I were kind of high on him coming in.
Yeah, because he looked aggressive in workouts, and then he got to the summer league and he looked scared to death.
I thought he was going to be a good shooter.
Yeah, he struggles badly. Let's talk about let's go rapid fire because I know we're getting long on time.
We can go rapid fire, and then we can Celtics, Raptors, and Sixers. We can go in on.
Yeah, let's do. Miami. What you guys think of Miami's potential this year? And Jimmy Butler trade to Miami, or yes or no?
I'm gonna say no. And the Heat, I had him at 8. I think Spoelstra's he's a top 5 coach in the NBA, and that's why I like the Heat. Everybody knows sorry, Alana. I hate Hassan Whiteside. I think he's a cancer. I'm sorry, he's a cancer.
He's shooting threes now.
Hey, exactly. Is he making them though?
Yeah, Gonzo, what's your thoughts, Miami? Just real quick, and what do you think of chances of a Jimmy Butler trade?
The Gremlins.
Gonzo.
Hello.
Oh, there he is. Hey,
Okay.
what do you think of Jimmy Butler rumors to Miami? You think it'll happen? And what do
No,
you know? Okay.
no, he should not. He shouldn't be traded to Miami. I'm definitely not giving up. I think the trade the other day was like Bam, Adebayo. It
And
was like
Richardson.
Richardson, and it was like a draft pick or something like that. No, I'm
Right.
not trading it for Jimmy, who might possibly leave at the end of the year. No, I'm
Right.
not doing it.
And go
All right.
play with
Um,
Durant in New York.
What do you think of Miami this season? Anybody that breaks out for you?
uh, maybe Richardson. His scoring might improve. Maybe I.
Hmm.
That's really about it. I see them in the same spot they were in last year, maybe seventh or eighth seed, and they'll probably battle with whoever's in the seventh or eighth seed by like half a game towards the end of the year. But I
Right.
see the same outcome. They're still going to get beat in the first round, whether they play the Celtics, the Raptors, or the Sixers.
Let me ask you guys this: does Dragic make another All Star appearance?
No,
Matt, Matt, you're on mute. I think.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Yeah, no, I know Dragic is not an all-star, but Bam Adebayo is my breakout.
Okay. I've got I think the breakout, well, there's two for me. I think Derek Jones Jr. I think
Oh.
he's gonna solidify a rotation spot. They're gonna end up moving Justice Winslow. I think he's really gonna show promise. And the other one, Josh Richardson's really gonna bring it defensively. And like you said, Gonzo, I think his points per game go up just a little bit. I would not deal either Adebayo because that's your insurance if Whiteside craps the bid.
Which he's
And
gonna
then
do.
yeah, and then also just the long term potential of Adebayo. And then Richardson to me is what Jimmy Butler, he could turn into that Jimmy Butler type player. Less ISO Jimmy Butler, but defensively,
I think he could be a better shooter too than Jimmy from three.
yeah, right. I agree. All right, let's go with let's do Washington. Any change? We know Washington has a great, good look during the season. Playoff time, they struggle. Um, any changes this year, Gonzo, as far as Washington? Can they propel forward with some of the guys that they got in there? And the other question is, with John Wall, does he stay healthy enough to make a leap to kind of propel them forward?
This year I think he does stay healthy to help propel them forward. I also think Dwight Howard with the point guard like John Wall, he's definitely going to get the ball. And Dwight Howard was actually pretty good last year. I
Yeah.
think he was overlooked a lot last year. He played really, really good and don't get me wrong, Kemba Walker.
I'm because that's why I got Washington fourth
Okay.
because of Dwight.
And Kemba Walker is he's not really a pass first point guard.
Right.
And Dwight Howard was still able to do what he did. So to put him with somebody like John Wall, who's definitely going to get you the ball, I think that kind of plays into Dwight's hands a little bit. It kind of makes the Wizards kind of a force.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of makes them a force a little bit.
Yeah, potentially. I think I'm not that high on Dwight, but where he fits in that offense, rim running, grabbing rebounds, I think it's going to be better than what Gortat has given them.
And he's going to be way better defensively than Gortat.
I worry about guys like Otto Porter struggling defensively, not bringing a lot offensively. We know he's improved his 3-point shooting vastly, but I just don't think he's aggressive enough as that third option. And then they're an injury away from either Beal or Wall to not really competing. And Wall's injury history has me worried.
Oh, they did, but Wall went down last year, and they still kind of hung in there.
Yeah, Satoransky played out of his mind. Now it's going to be Austin Rivers getting that opportunity.
Austin Rivers was good for LA. He was good.
Yeah, because Doc fed him minutes. Like, I mean,
good though. He produced though.
Satoransky and Beal last year, point guard and shooting guard last year. Yeah, they were awesome during that stretch when the Wall was out.
Yep. But now you got guys like Jeff Green, who I think is going to have a year that's forgettable again. He has one good year and two bad years, so he's due for.
Hey, but you know what's going to happen? He's going to play like 74 games for him, and he's going to be trashed in like 73. But that one game, he's going to get like 37 points. He's going to hit like 6 of 11 threes, and we're going to be like, damn, That's the potential he always had, but 1 game out of 74, right?
Yeah, exactly. We'll see what happens there. All right, let's move to Milwaukee. Gonzo, you touched on it before with Budenholzer kind of changing up that offense. You mentioned the shooting may be troubling for them. Kind of what do you see moving forward? Do you see any improvement out of guys like Middleton, Brogdon? What do they get out of Lopez and Bledsoe? That's kind of who's going to round out the starting lineup with Antetokounmpo.
Lopez. One thing we know for sure we definitely not gonna get from him is rebounding because he doesn't do that. But he will help space the floor, something that they need in that offense. Middleton, who I thought was their best player in the playoffs last year. I thought Middleton actually, regardless of what the stats showed, I think Middleton was more clutch. He was more efficient in that Celtic series than Antetokounmpo. Malcolm Brogdon, I want to see Malcolm Brogdon get back to that rookie of the year form. Can they be good? I believe they can. I mean, it just all depends on how this system plays out. I just want to know where's the shooting going to come from besides Middleton and pretty much Tony Snell and Brogdon if he can knock down shots. But those are only 3 shooters. And everybody can't have the ball on offense.
You know, he doesn't. Ersan Ilyasova doesn't pass up shots. He gets the ball. That thing's going up.
That's right. Yeah, I forgot he was on the roster. Wow. Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, they might actually be in good shape. Then it's possible they could be a really good team. Like I said, I think Budenholzer is a good coach, though.
Yeah, I think his ability to kind of switch up guys, you know, from like different roles. Like he's played, obviously getting Lopez, but he's played Thon Maker effectively, you know, so far in the preseason, even though he hasn't played a ton. And then looking at guys like Dante DiVincenzo out of Villanova, I think he's going to look at giving him a versatile role, kind of being able to handle the ball a little bit. So then you kind of can play off of Bledsoe, kind of off the ball a little bit, so you can be a little bit more aggressive. And then with Middleton, I'm super high on Middleton. I think he has a potential. If he's not an all-star, he's damn close this year. I'm that high on him. And Antetokounmpo is going to take it to another level. He's gotten bigger. I think he's going to be able to take more contact in the paint and finish, you know, a lot more effectively. And watch out if he can knock down a consistent mid-range shot and stretch that consistency to three-point range. But Matt, what do you think?
I actually really like this team. And like you said it perfectly, but I'm going to add with DiVincenzo, another shooter.
Yeah. He struggled a little bit so far, but we'll see. He can shoot, though.
Fine. Yeah, he'll be fine. It's another shooter. I think they've got the shooters, and with Budenholzer. And we saw somebody on Twitter posted a chart of like the preseason game last year versus the Bulls and this year. So many more threes were attempted, and I love it. And you got one thing wrong, Pete. It's not Thon Maker. Remember, it's
McCurr. Yeah,
Thon McCurr.
You're right. Yeah, you're right.
You're the one who originally corrected me on that. Yes.
Yep.
I still think Thon McCurr is going to be a good player.
The jury's out. I mean, this is.
I'm sticking with it.
I think he might be trade bait at the deadline if he's not in the rotation.
I hope not. But
all right, let's talk. Go ahead. No.
I was going to say, and Lopez can make threes.
Yeah, but that's all he can kind of do right now because he doesn't defend and doesn't rebound.
We know that. Well, he'll get you 5 rebounds at 7 feet tall.
I mean, Eddie Curry can get you 5 rebounds too, but it didn't make him laugh. I just, you know.
That's true.
All right, let's do Indiana, Toronto kind of together because the 2 keys I think everybody talks about the most is Philly and Boston, so we'll save them for a little bit, you know, at the end. Indiana. Oladipo obviously made the huge leap last year. Matt, going to you, does he make a bigger leap this year? What does the addition of Tyreke Evans do to this team? Another guy, I'm going to give you a specific question. McDermott, what does he bring?
Oh, nice.
And then with the bigs, with Sabonis and Miles Turner, is there going to be a center starting controversy at some point? if Turner doesn't kind of up his game this year, because Sabonis looked really good last year and has looked phenomenal in the preseason. What do you think? Matt, you went on mute. Unmute your.
Hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. I don't know why. I'm not even hitting the mute button. I don't know what's going on. As far as Oladipo goes, I think he's going to make a jump. I think you'll see another jump, but the numbers might not show it. You may see. I think you'll see it more in the efficiency, maybe not so much in the scoring, because as you said, you add Tyreek Evans. Sabonis is going to be better. You got Miles Turner and those guys. So maybe the scoring numbers don't make some huge jump. Maybe he goes up by a point. Maybe he goes down by a point or two. But I don't think we can judge him on that. McDermott, I think, is just going to come in and be a shooter for him. He'll come in, he'll make shots. And you can always use a shooter off the bench. I'm not expecting him to be just some game changer for him, but he'll come in and make shots.
Right.
With Sabonis and Turner, I think you could – I think you go Miles Turner. I still think the potential is through the roof with the guy. If there's some struggles, maybe. But maybe you bring was it, Thaddeus Young? Bring him off the bench. Let Sabonis start.
At the 4, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's maybe the move. Bring Thaddeus Young off the bench, not Miles Turner.
Okay.
What was the other question?
Tyreek Evans. What does he bring to the?
Oh, he's going to bring offense he's going to bring offense for that team off that bench. He's going to be fantastic for him. He was great for Memphis last year. I think he could do that for the Pacers, and they need it off that bench. They need some scoring punch.
Yeah, it was crazy. They almost got JJ Redick from Philly. So that was like within like 2-3 hours of being agreed to where he would have went and they wouldn't have Tyreek Evans.
Yeah, I actually like Tyreek Evans a little better for this team, though.
Yeah, for the team concept, I do as well.
Especially because off that bench, if they have Tyreek Evans off the bench last year, they beat Cleveland.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm going to go into Toronto with you, and then I'm going to flip it back to you, Gonzo, and I'm going to go back to you with Indiana and Toronto together. But I'm going to go with to Matt real quick. With Toronto, obviously Kawhi is the big addition. What do you think realistically he can bring coming off that major injury? Secondly, changing coaches to Nick Nurse. Obviously, he was the offensive force kind of driving the Raptors last year. Does he bring anything different to kind of propel them forward? And now that Serge Ibaka has moved to center, primarily, is it going to be him or Valanciunas starting?
Well, with Kawhi, I mean, the guy when healthy, and he looks pretty good so far. I saw some just that first game. You saw some moves, a little step back jumpers and stuff. He looks like he's going to be fine. Right. That's going to elevate them. He's a better player than DeMar DeRozan. But the Nick Nurse thing is a good it's a good question, because I think that's the biggest question mark. You know, you've got a new coach. You're bringing in a superstar, top 4, top 5 NBA player. Right. So I think that's why I have Toronto third right now, because it's going to be I do believe it'll be an adjustment period. You know, they're going to come out of the gate. You may see some struggling. The new coach is Kawhi. Then you talk about the big man position. I'd still go Valanciunas. I mean, he showed he can make threes last year. He's big. I would probably still start Valanciunas. I like him a lot, though. You know, and obviously Serge Ibaka, it seems like we were so high on him in OKC. He goes to Orlando, Toronto. It's just like he doesn't seem like the same guy anymore. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I would go Valanciunas, but I still think Toronto's still going to be a top 3. They could still finish 1, 2, 3. But I just believe with the new coach, with Kawhi in there, there's going to be an adjustment. And okay. I do love their bench. I think you're going to see an even bigger jump from Fred and guys like Siakam, right? Those guys are going to be great. I really like – they're really deep. I like this team.
Okay. Gonzo, I'm going to go back to Indiana first. With Indiana, what do you think as far as a leap for Oladipo this year? Do you think he leaps up even more? What are they going to get out of Tyreek Evans? And as far as Turner and Sabonis, do you think there's any kind of battle there for the center spot, or do you think they could play together?
I think that Oladipo scoring will probably improve maybe by 3 more points. I think he'll go up from like 24 to like 27.
Wow.
So let's make no mistake about it. I was high on Miles Turner. Uh, I liked his game coming out of college.
Hmm.
I'll be honest with you. Demontis Sabonis is a much better player. That's not even
Damn.
an argument at this point. The fact
Damn.
that he was able to come off the bench and at one point he almost didn't miss a field goal early part of the season last year, like the first 6, 7 games. I don't even think he
Yeah.
missed a field goal. I was like 7 for 7, and he's like 10 for 10. Like he was killing it.
Hmm.
Um, his jump shot is reliable. He has a few post moves. Like he's a reliable scorer uh, off of that bench. Miles Turner is not so reliable. Um, Me personally, I think he would actually do better. And this is going to kind of slide in when I talk about Tyreek Evans. I think Miles Turner will be better coming off the bench with a guy like Tyreek Evans. You have Doug McDermott, which gives your second unit scoring. Uh, 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 it gives your second unit scoring, a point guard who you can put Tyreek at point guard or shooting guard. He can get to the basket. He can run pick and rolls with Turner. Then you got yourself an option to shoot with McDermott. Um, so honestly, they can just be part of the second unit. It makes the second unit stronger. But I want Demontis Sabonis in the starting rotation with Oladipo, um, Collison, and Bogdanovich. Honestly.
Okay. What with Toronto? What impact do you think Kawhi has on the team? Is Nick Nurse being a new coach? Is that going to affect Toronto? Is it going to be good or bad? And then lastly, with Valanciunas and Ibaka both playing the center spot now that they've moved Ibaka strictly to center, who do you think is the better player to put in that starting lineup?
Hmm. The better player, overall player in the lineup, I'm going to
Yeah,
say
who fits
Valanciunas.
better? Yeah.
I think Valanciunas fits because Valanciunas can actually post up. He can score.
Mm-hmm.
Ibaka is a good rim protector, but he's not a reliable. I mean, he can shoot the three, but he's not a reliable 3-point shooter. You can't say you can honestly leave him open and he's going to knock down shots
Right.
at a consistent rate. Now, Valanciunas at one point in time, we flash back. I think it's maybe 2 years ago. I think they played against the Cavaliers. Valanciunas Valanciunas was playing good in that playoffs that year. He was actually decent. I think they just misused him a lot and they wore him down. I think one game he missed like a layup or like an easy
Yeah,
shot to the
he's
back
put
next to the
back.
basket, and he ended up losing. But it was because he was so fatigued because he had played for so long. Because he
Right.
was pretty much the only scoring option. Because as we know, as usual, Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan are usually terrible in the playoffs.
Right.
Um, this is the element, and I'm sorry for being hoarse. My voice is getting hoarse for a reason. I don't know why. Kawhi Leonard adds the element he's bringing to the table is that he can knock down 3-point shots way more consistent than DeRozan. He has a mid-range game just like DeRozan. He brings a championship pedigree, unlike DeRozan, and he can lock down the best offensive player on any team in the league, unlike DeRozan. So that right there just changed the whole dynamic of that starting five. Then you still have even off the bench. On the starting lineup, you have Valanciunas. You'll have Kawhi Leonard. You'll have Kyle Lowry. That's three guys right there who can work together and actually build some type of chemistry and make the starting lineup okay. But then you got Fred VanVleet. You got Ibaka coming off the bench. I forget you got the what's his guy's name?
Siakam.
Siakam.
Pascal
Siakam.
Siakam.
Then you got a newbie
Anunoby. Yeah, he'll probably start the
Anunoby
power
who can shoot the
forward.
three. So you got guys off the bench who can score,
Mm-hmm.
and can get the job done. So you got yourself a good first unit you can work with. Then you got a good second unit you can work with. That's one of the reasons why I had him at the top, one of the top three teams.
Okay. For me, I think Nick Nurse was already there. I think some of his concepts that he wanted to bring were kind of overridden by Dwayne Casey, come playoff time. And DeMar DeRozan didn't like some of that change. So now that he's not there, I think it'll be interesting to see how they handle Kawhi, especially with him saying that, or his camp saying that LA is where he's wanting to be. It'll be interesting to see if he changes his mind and how he's utilized on the offensive end. Is it going to make him happy enough to stay? With the lineup combo, Valanciunas is the clear winner at the center spot for me. Knock down the three, post up. can do both of those things. Ibaka can anchor the defense as a rim protector. That leaves DeLon Wright, Van Vliet, CJ Miles, and Siakam kind of as the backups there. You put Anunoby as another defender. Imagine him defending. You've got Kawhi and you've got Danny Green all being able to defend on that perimeter. That's going to be tough for a lot of teams to deal with.
And Anunoby kind of like has a lot of like Kawhi in him when you watch the game.
Exactly. And he can effectively shoot the three. He's just got to work on his footwork, being consistent every time, as far as squaring up for threes. But I think they have high potential. Obviously, I have them second. I believe in Boston a little bit more. And I know we're getting to them in just a second, but
you got your Sixers 3.
Yeah, I've got the Sixers 3 for, and I'll talk about it when I get to the Sixers on why. But I think that with Toronto, though, they're going to be ultra kind of conservative with pushing Kawhi as much. Like if he starts showing signs of, that hamstring anywhere close to bothering, they may, kind of back off of giving him a ton of minutes. I don't think he gets 36, 37 minutes right off the bat.
They may even sit him for a couple games.
Right. And that's why, I think they finished, second. They're not going to necessarily, I don't think they're going to be as bad as they were down the stretch, having to worry about the ISO ball between Lowry gets it some, DeRozan. I think they're going to be able to spread the ball around.
Oh, yeah. And Kawhi's not like an ISO guy.
Right. So it's going to really help this team going forward. But when I flip back to Indiana with Oladipo, I think he takes a small leap, like you said, Matt, but it's not going to show enough because he's already done so much for that team.
Yeah, absolutely.
But now we saw where he was getting tired at the end of games, taking bad shots, because nobody else could score. Now you have Tyreek Evans who can fill it up in a hurry. That's going to help them. That's where I think he benefits that team better than JJ Redick, because JJ Redick, we know he can shoot, and get hot quick.
But he's not on his own.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect way to say it. Sabonis, I think, ultimately could overtake Thaddeus Young at the 4. Miles Turner, I think he's put in a ton of work this offseason, so his leap forward is going to show. And a guy that we haven't talked about, TJ Leaf, looked awful last year. He's looked great so far in the preseason, and I think he might be able to get a role in the rotation. So then at the trade deadline, Thaddeus Young can be moved, maybe for some another backcourt, addition or something like that to kind of balance out a little more. Because I don't know how Aaron Holiday is going to fit in the NBA. Collison is so, but I'd want a little bit of an upgrade at the point guard spot.
You could see TJ Leaf ultimately being the backup power forward.
Ultimately, yeah, I think he can grow into that role because he can shoot it.
Yeah, he showed it at UCLA with Lonzo Ball.
Exactly. All right, let's move into Philly and Boston.
Yes.
All right, let's start with Philly first. Matt, you had them 1.
Yes, I did.
All right, give me your reason why you have them 1, and just kind of what you see out of this team this season.
My reason for them being number 1, obviously, I told you with Toronto, I think you're going to see the adjustment, bringing in a top 5, arguably the second best player in the league when healthy, and Kawhi Leonard, new coach, adjustment period. Same thing with Boston. Gordon Hayward's back. Kyrie's going to be back for a full season. Tatum's had the success being the go-to guy in the playoffs offensively. Terry Rozier. Now, all these guys' roles change, and I just think there's going to be an adjustment with this, and that's why I think Philadelphia is just going to come out on fire right out of the gate. I think they're ready to go. Markelle Fultz is going to be ready to play basketball, and and like I said, they're basically getting the number 1 pick in the draft to start the season. They basically did not have him last year. They got him. He's confident. I saw the 3 he hit the other day, and it was a nice little one motion jump shot. It didn't look like there was much of a hitch. I like that. No, he's not going to shoot 35, 38% from 3, but I think he's going to be able to make some threes. Ben Simmons is going to be, by the end of the season, Ben Simmons is going to be one of the best 10 players in the league. Joel Embiid is already there. You've got, Muscala off the bench can make open threes. JJ Redick coming in, TJ McConnell. I just love this team. And then, starting up front, man, they're so good defensively. because Fultz is better defensively than Reddick. So you got Simmons, Fultz, Covington, Saric. Now I know Saric isn't great, but Saric can really play. He knows what he's doing. And B, the team is loaded. And Brett Brown is a fantastic NBA coach. And I really think this team's going to come out on fire.
Okay.
I could see 20 games in, they're 16-4, 17-3. I wouldn't be shocked.
Wow. Okay. Gonzo, what do you think of Philly this year?
I like Philly, but I got them at number 3. And unfortunately, everything is pending on Ben Simmons. He had 1 point, and I think one of those games last year, I'm credited to him because maybe he was young, to the fact that maybe he was young.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see how his jump shot develops. Can guys like Markelle Fultz, can they be effective? Because in preseason, he had the first game, he looked all right, but after that,
he struggled last game.
Yeah, Markelle Fultz looked like crap the last game. And
what?
But I like the guy. I like the guy on the bench. What's his name? Shamet.
Yeah, Landry
Shamet. Yes.
Yeah. Now he looked pretty good, but again, I want to see how they play against Boston because even right now, even if they were, I got them at 3. So say for instance they win 9 times out of 10, they're going to eventually run into Boston. Do they have enough to beat Boston? I still don't think so. I just don't see them beating Boston. I think Boston right now is the only real threat to beating Golden State at the moment.
Okay. For me,
if Ben's jump shot comes along, I'm telling you, then it's going to be trouble for everybody.
Yep.
But I got to see that. I got to see that jump shot.
Yeah, that's the thing for me. I like that they're bringing JJ off the bench because they need a shooter off the bench now that Wilson Chandler's injured. He's having that hamstring injury, thing again to where I don't know.
You really can't count on him this year.
Yeah, that's the thing. And then you've got backups in Amir Johnson at center. He's coming back. Then you got Jonah Bolden, who doesn't have NBA experience.
What's wrong with you?
Looking at Mike Muscala, he can knock down the 3, but he's not a good rim protector, and he doesn't rebound great. So that's another question mark up front. You lose Ilyasova, you lose Bellinelli, 2 vet, players and shooters. And then you're now going to have to figure out, is Korkmaz going to get in the rotation or is Shamet going to get in the rotation? Because you have a hole there because basically no Wilson Chandler doesn't give you a lot of perimeter depth. And then now JJ's coming off the bench. McConnell will be the point guard. That leaves Fultz at the shooting guard spot. Now, you said, Gonzo, that, he looked good first game, then so the next. I think the last game in the China game, because they had to fly and then they had to get, because of the time difference, they had to play so early. Really the only one, and it's been well documented, JJ Redick takes very, very serious care of his body throughout the season. Like, he doesn't drink, outside of like a little bit of wine and stuff like that. Like, very regimental. Like, everybody else looked a little sluggish out there. I think with Fultz, it's all about the mental confidence. And that's where I have question marks, and that's why I put him behind Toronto and Boston, because you're hinging on a bench that got a little bit worse, and then you're hinging on, Markelle Fultz really taking a leap forward and Ben Simmons creating a jump shot and Joel Embiid not turning the ball over, trying to do too much. All of those things have to line up for them to really take a leap forward. I think it's one more year before they take that leap, like you said, Matt, to 1, or at least compete with Boston for 1. But it's going to be tough to get by Toronto, who's already has an established offense with Nick Nurse, and then already have, regardless if Kawhi is 80% healthy or 100% healthy.
Oh, he's going to be. I think he's 100%.
Right. So I think that they just have a little bit better potential to me. But who knows? Like Gonzo said, if Ben Simmons comes out with a jump shot from 15 feet, it's over.
Yep.
But let's jump to Boston, and then we'll wrap it up with our predictions for the Eastern Conference Finals, and then who we got in the finals. But with Boston, obviously we know they're getting back Gordon Hayward. They have all the guys coming back, Tatum, and Brown. Kyrie's healthy. Gonzo, going to you first. What do you think happens with Boston? I know you kind of touched on they're the team to beat, but overall, what do you think of the impact of Kyrie, with Brown, Tatum, and Hayward? How does that kind of work out? Who kind of takes that step, not necessarily a step back, but who kind of sacrifices, for the team out of those guys?
I think the person who's going to sacrifice the most is Jason Tatum. Uh, I think he looked really, really good in the playoffs because he didn't have Kyrie there. There was no Gordon Hayward. Now that Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward is back, he's going to decline a little bit. He's not going to be averaging like that 13 he was averaging last year. That might drop down to maybe a 10 or 11. Just because Gordon Hayward is in there. You need Jaylen Brown in there because he's a defender. Right. But again, I think the way that team is built, you don't need everybody to be a major scorer. I mean, they have scoring in every area. Kyrie can score. Gordon Hayward can score. Jaylen Brown can score. Tatum can score. Rozier can score. Horford can score a little bit. I mean, you got so many people can score, but on top of all that, they got so many different bodies they can throw at you defensively.
Right.
Especially if anywhere from the power forward to the point guard position. It's like they have defense and they have scoring, and then on top of it, they have the coaching. They have the coaching to get them over the hump. They can create plays and design an offense where they can be successful and win games. They're tough out. I got them finals. I've said that. I've been saying that for the last month.
We already know where Gonzo's at on his predictions.
Oh yeah. I'm just gonna say real quick for Boston, for me, the guy that takes maybe from a scoring aspect, I think Kyrie might drop down like 2 points a game just to help the team as far as overall balance, but his assists go up. Mm-hmm. Jaylen Brown and Tatum, I think they're going to be right around that, 12 to 14 range as far as scoring. Marcus Morris is not going to get up to that 13 points a game again, so that'll kind of increase a little bit more opportunity elsewhere. Horford's not going to focus on scoring, so his 13 a game, might drop down to 11, so that'll kind of help Brown and Tatum a little bit. But Tatum is the one that I put all my chips on the table and really, try to push forward. And I think Gordon Hayward, obviously, capable of 21, 24 points a game, could really bring it, but he doesn't have to bring it on this team. He could get 16 a game, 15 a game, but be that other ball handler to help facilitate.
Yes.
And that's really going to help those guys like Brown and Tatum in their role. And don't forget about Terry Rozier and Brad Stevens trying to get him as many minutes as possible. Mm-hmm. And then Marcus Smart as a defender. So it's going to be interesting with so many bodies on this team. Where's the playing time going to shake out? But I think ultimately they know the sacrifices that they have to give to get to that finals now that LeBron's not there. I mean, they're the overall favorites, but Matt, I want to hear your thoughts on what you think.
I actually think Tatum's numbers are going to go up slightly. I think you're going to look at 15 a game. I think you're going to see Tatum at about 15. Horford, you're right. He's going to drop a little. Mm-hmm. Kyrie will be between 22 and 24, give or take. I think Horford, Hayward will be about 17, 18. But I think with Horford's drop, I actually think Jaylen Brown will be around the same because he's going to spot up, make threes, and do what he does.
Right.
That's not going to change much. So I like Boston, but I just think there's going to be an adjustment. That's why I have Philadelphia number 1, because I think it's going to take just a little bit of time for Boston. I know Brad Stevens is fantastic, and they're going to be ready to go. But I mean, I'm seeing it on Twitter. I haven't watched one preseason game for the Celtics. I'm seeing it, Celtics fans, this team doesn't look interested. They're not trying as hard as they used to. I know it's preseason, but it's kind of what I feared. With all these guys now, it's just going to take an adjustment.
Yeah, well, with Gordon Hayward, he struggled because his legs
exactly.
And you got to think Kyrie's coming off an injury; his legs may not necessarily be there. So, all this criticism, it's preseason. I mean, I don't read a lot into that just because
exactly.
You never know what's gonna happen there. But All right, let's jump into our predictions for Eastern
Yes.
Conference Finals. And Gonzo, you already gave that Boston's going to go to the NBA Finals. So who do you have Boston facing up against in the Eastern Conference Finals?
I have the Boston Celtics taking on the Toronto Raptors. They win in 7 games.
7 games. Okay, nice. All right, Matt, who you got?
I got Boston against the Philadelphia 76ers, and I've made a change. I'm going with Philadelphia in 6 games because for this reason, I believe by the end of the year, like I said, Ben Simmons is a top 10 NBA player. Joel Embiid is they're going to have the 2 best players on the floor. That's going to be the difference. Philadelphia in 6 over Boston. I'm sticking with the Sixers, with your Sixers, Pete.
Yeah, I'm a Sixers guy, and I got the Sixers losing 7 games in the Eastern Conference Finals to the Boston Celtics.
Nice.
I think that basically the defensive versatility and just the X's and O's dynamic from Brad Stevens is going to, overcome the Sixers, just barely, but it's going to be Embiid's going to leave it all on the floor. Simmons is going to leave it all on the floor, but they need, unless they get one more like really strong scoring piece to come off the bench.
Oh, it's off the bench.
Off the bench. I think they need one more piece.
That's where Wilson Chandler could come up huge if he's ready by playoff time.
See, he's struggling. I just don't. We'll see what happens. But I want to see, that matchup of Philly and Boston.
I like Pete. You're almost with me on Philadelphia. I see it. You're almost
I'm right there. I'm right there, but
me.
They just need that one more piece. If they can get.
And what if it's Landry Shamet? What if he comes up? I mean,
he's not ready.
No, he's not. But I know I'm not saying he's ready. But what if it's him? What if Wilson Chandler is healthy? We know what we're going to get from Redick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just don't know. It's going to have to be something that's a game changer that you can throw at Boston that just Boston can't figure out. Because with Toronto, I think they can count on Lowry struggling. And it's sad to say. And then guys like Ibaka not showing up, so those things can come into play. And Kawhi can do everything he can, but he can't will the team by himself.
No, and you know what? One thing he's going to have to face, Kawhi, is one of the best defenders in the league in Covington.
Yeah, Covington's struggling on offense too. That's another thing I worry about.
Yeah, he's inconsistent.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there, but it'll be interesting this year. Definitely, that first game, first night of the season, Boston, Philly. That's gonna. I'll be glued in definitely.
Oh yes,
Matt. I'm sure you and I will be texting back and forth.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Real quick before we go off, I'm gonna give my actual prediction for Philadelphia wins. 62 wins this year for Philadelphia.
Wow.
I'm going 62.
I have
62 and 20.
What I have 53, I think.
Yeah.
53 is what I have.
Y'all laughed at me last year when I had him at 50 plus and finishing third. So
yeah, I mean, anything's possible with the way that roster is made up because it's a lot of potential there.
Give me 62 wins for the Sixers, 62 and 20.
They're
going to finish I think they're going to finish with the second best record in the league. Well, they may finish with the best record because Golden State's going to have their problems because they're bored. It's going to happen. Houston's not as good. I think Philly could finish with the best record in the NBA this year. Could. I'm not guaranteeing it though.
Right. Okay. All right, let's wrap it up for that. Basically, wrap it up for us for the Eastern Conference. What we're going to do, same time, Saturday next Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern. We're going to do the Western Conference. We're going to break it down just as we did here. I'm going to say one thing. I tried to work on the iTunes link, and I had to email Apple Podcasts, and I still haven't actually got a definite answer back. But our podcast shows up in Apple Podcasts. The hosting site that I use to post it said that everything posted correctly, but somehow it's still not syncing up to show up with a new episode. So as soon as I can get that figured out, we'll get last week's on there, as well as, everyone going forward, because we want to have both the audio version for people that work, that just want to listen, with some headphones or late at night or in the car or whatever they want to do, to go with the video thing. But Gonzo, I'm going to go to you. Let the people know where they can find you.
You can find me at DJ Gonzo Star on Twitter.
Okay, great. Matt, I think your mic might be muted again.
Can you hear me? Is it working
Yep.
now?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Where
Y'all
can the people
find
find you?
UQR Podcast on Twitter. Let's give a shout out to Byron. He won't be with us he's not with us this week, next week, but he will be back with us regularly.
Oh yeah, we got to get Byron back on.
Yeah, Byron and Alana Tahauer, she will definitely be back on with us. I have to get her on so we can.
Yeah, we definitely need to get Alana on. I know she's going to get all on me about not having Miami potentially in the playoffs. Now, I will put an asterisk and say that could change, based on the trade dynamics and things like that. But we'll see kind of what happens there with that. But
we also got to get Lance back on with us.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've had him as well. Yeah, so we'll get the regular guys that we usually kind of rotate through and go through it. But also want to give a shout out, Matt. You obviously, for everybody that's watching, probably as part of Sim Nation, but those that are not, make sure you tune into the Sim Hangout, which is almost every Friday night when it's not, hardcore 2K dev time, for Czar. Matt's a co-host.
Here's the thing: Czar is not going to be there next week, but it looks like Brian's going to host next week. Brian Mazik, so he'll do it on his YouTube. So the Hangout will be ready for next week.
Now that is going to be hilarious because if you didn't check out the first about 8 minutes of the episode of yesterday's Sim Hangout, make sure you check that out and just the whole story surrounding Mazik and all of that. But yeah, basically, with us, we're going to try to keep it to outside of these preview episodes, we're going to try to keep it about an hour, hour and 10 minutes at the most, every Saturday that we can do it. Want to stay consistent because that's the thing where, life got in the way for all of us. And so, it kind of just threw off the scheduling of everybody, but we consistently found that Saturday works the best. So if you're not tuning in live, make sure you're liking each video because we need the likes. Also, make sure you're telling people about us. Word of mouth is key. Once I get that iTunes link up there, make sure you're leaving a comment on what you like, what you don't like as far as the videos. On the YouTube page, you can do that as well. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's Matt's channel.
Let's get us back to number one on that iTunes sports pod because we were damn near number one on the sports.
We were number one at one point.
We were number one.
A couple times we hit number one. We definitely need to get back up there to get back on get back on people's radar. But make sure you're subscribed to Matt's channel as well. And with that, we'll see you guys next week, 10 p.m. Eastern. Hope you enjoyed the Eastern Conference previews. Western next weekend.